Hi, so it's been a minute since I posted a video, but I haven't been feeling well in the past week and just got busy with appointments, and my daughter came back from the States, so I had to go pick her up there, and that was the long weekend. But I gotta get back out to the garden because it's been delayed because I wasn't feeling well. But I thought I'd start by showing you what I have growing in the porch. So I'm not too familiar with growing peppers, but last year I found out through a YouTube video that peppers are perennials, and because I was growing them on the garden, I decided to dig up quite a few of them, and I did it in a hurry. I didn't plant them too well. And then of course we have a cold winter, and many of them didn't survive because I don't have much sunlight in the house. But I was able to save one bell pepper, and you can see there's some growing here. It's kind of gone snaky on me, and it was in a smaller pot and it looked very wilted, so I transplanted it into this bigger pot yesterday, and I think I will need to stake it off and tie it off, and it's going to survive and produce some peppers for me. And my jalapeno is actually the one that did the best. It's got several fruit on it. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with them all, but I do need to make it into, or put it into a bigger pot. And this one looked like it was all but dead, and I do need to transplant it and get it into a bigger pot as well. I'm not sure what kind of pepper plant it is. Hopefully it's another bell pepper because I do enjoy those the most. But yeah, these are the ones that survived. There's the boys. Oh, look at that. Surprised the dogs didn't take off after them. So I have been trying to clean up the yard, but the grass is kind of dying. It is so hot and it hasn't rained. I haven't been able to burn my garbage except for one evening. So I am kind of falling behind on that. And look at, there's the boys, Rip and Casey. They've all but shedded out. I'm pretty sure Casey just has a little bit left on his nose there. I'll give a close-up in a second here. Just going to show, and of course the plants kind of look a little bit droopy. It's the heat of the day. But I haven't cleaned out my mint bed yet. I did plant a lemon balm. Some years it comes back and some years it doesn't. So this year I had to buy another plant. This was this dead plant here, catnip. It has grown so much. I just haven't had time to get to this garden bed. One thing that you won't be able to tell the difference of is I did buy more stone. When I made this garden area, I call it my kitchen garden, I did not put down plastic, and I should have, because the weeds do come back here. I'll give a close-up. This was full of tiny little weeds, and I pulled all of them up except for some are coming back, and I need to get to that. But this area was full of weeds, and I've cleaned that out, and I put down more stone, and I pulled all the weeds out of here, and I planted some parsley, thyme, and basil. And it's too bad about my thyme. I haven't pulled up the plant here from past year. I guess I kind of missing it. Don't want to let go yet. But I used to have like a creeping thyme, and it would bloom purple flowers. I think they were purple, and it died last year. I had it for 2 or 3 years. And then I need to cut down the grass on the border here. But my strawberries are back. I had this, it's called lipstick variety. It's the one with the pink flowers. It does not produce a nice strawberry. They're very tiny, and I don't know if the critters beat me to it, but I did buy a different variety, and I plunked it in there. So I plan on pulling up the pink ones, and hopefully these other ones that have white flowers, I'm not sure, I think it was called a Montana variety. I know that whatever I bought from Walmart last year. They produce nice big strawberries like you do when you would buy in the store. So hopefully they will, if you call that suckering out, or just grow and fill the bed, because originally I only had 3 plants in here and it filled up the whole bed over the years. And I haven't done anything here yet. That's Bo crying because it's too hot outside. This was my cilantro bed. I think if any cilantro comes up, I'll let it be. I might plant more lettuce here, just to have lettuce on both garden areas, because I see the grasshoppers are out already. And my poor cherry tomatoes, I'm hoping they'll come back. They do look a little sad right now because they need to be watered, but I won't be doing that till the evening. Just because you're supposed to water in the morning or the evening, and it'll be the evening now. And then this area here is bonus. Last year, all the chives, these are actually garlic chives that I planted, but I planted both garlic and onion chives. Nothing grew because the grasshoppers got to it. So this is all volunteer plants coming back. The lettuce, I had a plant and I wanted to let it go to seed so I could collect the seeds, except I don't think I did collect the seeds. And this is what's planted itself. And of course, once I water it, it's gonna look a lot better. It's just the heat of the day. I think we're at 30 degrees already, and it's been like that for several days. I can hear thunder rumbling, but it never rains. And then, of course, I have a weed in the corner there, but I planted some marigolds and some petunias. And of course, again, they need to be watered, and then they'll perk right back up. And right here is another bed. I got some grass growing here. Pick that out. Just some decoration in the center area here. And my garlic, first year planted. I have weeded this. Some weeds are coming back, but very happy with this. So now I know I can grow garlic, and of course there is a volunteer lettuce. But yes, this is my, what I call the kitchen garden area. So I kind of got a U shape here with the flower bed, and then on the other side of the shed where I keep all my gardening stuff. Couple beds to go. Oh yes, I didn't know where I put the dill that I bought, dill seeds, but then I discovered them. I put them in my purse. So that corner there was supposed to be herbs like sage, oregano. I'll need to buy some stuff to plant later. I didn't start anything early this year, but this garden bed, I've had tomatoes in the past year. I'm going to plant all with dill. I planted dill in the bigger garden last year, and the grasshoppers got to it, so I'm gonna try planting it here right next to the garlic. They say they don't like the smell of garlic, but I don't know if it's the spray you're supposed to put on afterwards. We'll see. Hopefully the dill will come out here, because I really want some cucumbers this year so I can make pickles. I've made pickles in the past, but last year, I'm not sure what happened. Just didn't get enough to make any pickles. So. One thing you can do with this grass growing into some good looking boys here. All right, back to the garden. So this is the pathway to my garden, and of course everything is grown in. And I always meant to move this carragana because it's kind of on the pathway. But I'm kind of scared that if I dig it up, I'm gonna kill it. But oh well, it needs to move out. And this is all poison ivy. I decided that I am gonna bust that bale up and make a path of it here so the weeds don't grow up. But before I do that, and I don't have time to do it today, I am going to spray it. I bought a herbicide that is a broadleaf herbicide, if that's what you call it. It doesn't kill grass, it just kills all these weeds with leaves. And right here, the camera will center on it, I have a rose bush. And I love the wild roses. I'm gonna have to dig this up and move it to maybe the back of my house. There's a bunch of roses growing there, but I would leave it, but it's too close to the path. And I wanna open this up. I wanna be able to roll the wagon in and out of here without feeling like I'm walking through a jungle. And then maybe one day I'll make a stone path or something like that. But this area needs to be cleaned out. And this is what I mean, like 1 week of illness and it just sets you back. I need to trim this with shears. There are fence rails in here that need to be put at the top of this mesh. And my daughter is back now, so she'll be able to help me with that. We cut down a maple tree and it's growing right back up there. And behind it is a huge rose bush. I'll probably leave that one there because it's not in the pathway. And then of course, where I pull the weeds and dump them, there's my compost pile. And I thought maybe I'll make a border around it with pallets one day, just to make it appear nicer. But I can't even build a fire here because it's just too dangerous with the heat. Things are just put on hold. And look at this maple tree here. You trim all the new growth and it just comes back even more vicious the second time around. There's Ty. Come on to see. So if you guys ever asked where there's shade, right now it is just after 12 o'clock, so noon. The whole alleyway is shaded for the horses, so they kind of hang out here, or they're next to the water because they get thirsty. And it isn't till evening that you start seeing them go back out into the pasture. But I did do a little video yesterday. It was a couple minutes showing what I was going to do. So maybe I'll insert that right here. This is 2 rows left on this side of the garden, full of stinging nettles. And I've got 3 rows to clear. I kind of cleared some of that, but not a full row. So there's 3 there. And the rest of the garden has been planted and cleared, except for the last 2 rows don't have too many weeds, but I haven't planted the flowers or the sunflowers. That's what's gonna go in there. But all the vegetables in between have been planted. And then the last thing I'm going to do is clean all the outside border and put down the rest of the shavings. So as you can see, last night I had 5 rows of weeds. Most of it was stinging nettles, and it's pretty easy to pull up. The only thing is that every time I was throwing it in the pail, the leaves would hit my arm, and I was protected with gloves, but this stuff does sting and itch after, just like poison ivy. And there was poison ivy that I had to pick up as well. There's still a little bit, the root system is so intensive underneath that you can pull the leaves up, but if you don't grab that root system with it, it just keeps shooting up new growth. But right now I did not turn the water on. Yesterday I was cleaning the weeds. I had this side of the garden watering, and I just bought a cheap sprinkler that oscillates. It's awesome because while I'm doing work on one side of the garden, the other side is getting watered, and I don't have to spend another hour watering the garden. And you could see I laid these shavings down yesterday. Also in the back corner, this is the first time I've laid shavings in the on the edge. It's supposed to be a 4-foot path on the edge, but I'm sure it doesn't look like that right now. I need to rake it so that it's more even, but it does suppress the weeds nicely. You know, I don't have a crew working on this garden. I've noticed a huge difference, except for this back corner, because I neglected it last year. It came back with a lot of weeds, and I still have quite a few to pick out. But when I look at how much weeding I had to do over here to start the year, there was barely any that I had to do. Of course, the grass on the borders I need to get done, and that's what I'm going to do right now. I didn't turn the water on. I didn't bring any seeds right now. I forgot to soak the peas last night, so they're not going to be ready till 7 p.m. Like I said, it's just afternoon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rake these 5 rows. There's actually 6. One was weeded of the big weeds. So I need to rake 6 rows. I need to put the rest of the shavings down, and I'm gonna get to as many border edges, especially all that tall grass there has got to be pulled out by hand. And that's what I'm gonna do during the day. And this evening, after I have soaked the peas, because I forgot to soak them last night, they'll be ready by 7 p.m. and I will plant the rest of the vegetables. I have beets to go, spinach, lettuce, and of course the peas. Oh, and my flowers. I still haven't planted. I've got 1 row on the edge there for sunflowers, and 1 for, I bought a whole bunch of different varieties. And it is kind of late to be starting them, but that's okay with me. Whatever grows this year grows. At least I'm still ahead of the game compared to where I was last year. And that's part of the reason I want to get this on film, is so that I have that record and I can refer back to it and see the progress that I made. Because compared to what this looked like, if it was 2 or 3 years ago when I first did this, it's huge progress here. If you could imagine, there used to be a maple tree right in this area. Actually, I'll show you right now. The potatoes. The potatoes were growing in the bucket, but when they come out, they send out the shoots, they're white. As soon as you throw them in the garden, they start growing green. And you can see on this one, it's producing leaves already. So I've got 2 rows of potatoes, and they're coming up nicely. And the corn has started to grow. And I've got beans over here. I bought pole beans this year. Hopefully I can get them growing over the arches. Last year I didn't have any beans at all. I'm not sure if it was the seeds or the manner in which I planted them. And here I planted butternut squash. Nothing come up yet. On the other side, I planted zucchini, and didn't see this yesterday, but it's coming up. So yay, I'm gonna have some zucchini this year. And I have, the rest of the row is not planted here. I have yet to get the seeds. I have a spaghetti squash that I'm gonna chuck out for the pigs, gonna save the seeds. And then I bought 1 tray of peppers, bell peppers, and I thought, well, if any of them grow nicely, I might save another couple of plants to see if they overwinter, but something's attacked them already. And then I have different varieties of tomatoes. These ones were quite small. I know I have Roma, a Manitoba variety, and then these are called Primo Reds. These ones I actually bought from the colony. So they had theirs started well before Walmart's. And I'm not even sure where Walmart gets their tomatoes from, but it's easy and convenient to buy their starts there. Oh, and I didn't even notice my onions have come up. I've got some onions from past years just overlooked. So that's from last year, growing and rotting. But this year here, it's here hard to see. So they're already popping out of the ground. And I tried to plant them a little bit deeper this year. I'm hoping that works because last year they looked like saucers and they didn't grow to their full potential, but even so, I still have onions left over from last year. So time to get to weeding. I'll bring you guys back in a bit when I've cleared a little bit more of this. All right, I've been at this almost 4 hours. It's almost 4 o'clock, so maybe 3.5 hours. Anyway, you can see these are the 3 rows that I had to weed. I put down shavings in between, and I just dumped that load on the border. I cleaned that off. I was only gonna do that, and then I was gonna put shavings between these 2 rows because I finished this side as well. Except all that thunder that was rumbling, I don't know if you can hear it coming down on the tin roof. I am gonna have to pause quicker than I had planned, but at least the rows are weeded. If the rain stops, I'm gonna come out here this evening and get the peas planted, the beets, the lettuce, and the spinach. And I don't have anything for this row yet. Maybe it'll be flowers, but I think I'm going to save the planting for part 2. So this is going to conclude my garden video for the day. Also, Beau's been whining quite a bit. He's too hot. He wants in. Now that it's raining, I'm sure he's going to race to the house with me. So we'll see you on the next video.